Welcome to the Monkey Wench podcast.
Yeah, dance and sing along podcast every Wednesday night.
Hey everyone. This kind of caught me off there. I was busy doing something else and the intro ended.
Yeah.
Hey, good to see everyone.
Yeah, good to see everybody. We got a great show tonight.
Yes.
Great guest, and very much looking forward to hearing his experiences, what we can get in the time we have. So appreciate him being here, Adam Davies. So
thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. All right. We have, I know last week we went over different, the festivals and conferences coming up. So we can kind of skip that this week because they pretty much haven't changed. But if anyone knows of any festivals or conferences that are coming up, go ahead and post them right there in the chat and let everyone know. So, hey, hey everyone, good to see you. Good to see you. All right, and we have our prayer request time also. Both Mark and I, we offer our prayers. We've got a prayer chain going. And I know that we also have a lot of prayer warriors right here in the chat and in the audience who really don't comment. They're silent members, but they're there. They're prayer warriors. And so if you have a prayer request, please go ahead and type in prayer request just right there in the chat, or else you can message either Mark or myself. My email address should be in the description. If not, I can type it into the chat here, and you can email me with your prayer request. You don't have to go into detail or anything. You don't have to let everyone know. Just type in prayer request. All right, and one other note. Yes, thank you, Mark. I was going to remind everyone, please put, if you have a question for our guests or for Mark or myself, you can please put the questions in all capital letters in the chat so that we can see them. They'll pop out a lot easier for us to see, and that way we can read them off to our guest and he can answer them. Much appreciated. Hey, yes, I see everyone.
I'm excited.
Yes, me too. We have our guest this evening is Adam Davies, and he is an explorer, adventurer, cryptozoologist, and author. He has traveled to some of the world's most remote and dangerous parts in search of yet-to-be-discovered animal species, from the dense jungles of the Congo and Sumatra to the deserts of Mongolia and the mountains of Nepal. He has crossed the globe in search of scientific evidence in the existence of these creatures. So, welcome, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Yes, please tell us about yourself. What brought you into this fun adventure?
Well, there were some defining moments in my childhood, and then there were some things that sort of happened along the way. So, when I was very young, I had a sister that died of neuroblastoma, which is a form of cancer,
Oh,
and that was a hard death in those days.
yes.
But what that did was it definitely shaped my awareness that you shouldn't take life for granted. It was a big, big thing. And then when I was 8 years old, I was hit on the sidewalk by a motorcyclist driving illegally. And my parents, who had already lost a child at that stage, remember, were then told that I'd never walk again. My leg was crushed. But I was determined that that wouldn't happen. So I started to swim, and within a year, I became a city champion and did that. So I was very determined, is what I'm trying to say, Mary.
Yeah.
So, but I always had a deep love of nature, and I always liked to track animals on the moors, not far from where I lived. I loved being around that area. I've always loved being in nature, and it's actually been proved. I think the Japanese eloquently have a word for it, but it's actually proved now that if you're wandering around in nature, it makes you feel better.
Yes.
Human beings have an intrinsic need for nature. So I started doing all of that, but I was always interested in adventure and exploration, and I started to read. I remember reading one time the accounts of Livingstone and Stanley in the Congo, yeah? And then there was the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle book, Lost Worlds.
Yes.
So I decided I was going to go and look for the Makila Mememba, the Congo dinosaur in the Congo. I decided I wanted to do that. And that was the first cryptid I wanted to look for. It wasn't the first one I ended up looking for. I ended up finding good scientific evidence, credible scientific evidence of the cellular serpent, which is Norway's Loch Ness monster.
Okay.
So that was the first proper cryptid expedition. But I did survival courses with special forces members in Britain, did all sorts of things, got to know woods, and then I went out to look for cryptids.
Very interesting.
Now, you were a reader. Were you also a fan of the Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan books?
I never read the Tarzan books, funnily enough. I never
Really?
have.
No.
I did like the old Johnny Weissmuller, obviously before my time.
Well,
But
yes.
I did like the old Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan things, the black and white things. I did used to watch those.
Yes.
But let me tell you, let me dispel one myth about the jungle, right? In those things, Johnny Weissmuller as Tarzan has a vine or something like that and just sways about. Yeah, he goes Umgala, cheetah, whatever. Let me tell you, that wouldn't happen in the jungle in real life, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I've been to jungles in the Congo and Sumatra extensively, other jungles in the world, but in Burma and all of that lot, yeah. So I've looked for them all over the world, yeah. But in jungles in that jungles normally have everything's covered in thorns. Let me tell you, everything is covered in thorns. So everything you want to grab is perilous for you to do so. So what you don't do is grab them. Yeah. So so Tarzan wouldn't really be swinging about on one of those.
Nope. Oh, I know that Jane Goodall was a huge fan of Tarzan.
Yeah, well, I mean, she spent a lot of time looking after the chimps, as you know, in one particular area.
Yes.
And did a marvelous job. But it doesn't matter. My point is, it doesn't matter what jungle you're in.
Yeah.
All these things are covered in thorns. So the rattan furniture that people used to have and still do to some extent, that's got particularly bad thorns. In fact, I started wearing that leather bush hat people sometimes see me in because I didn't want the thorns ripping into my skull.
Oh, goodness. All right. We have a question from Skidder Operator. He asked, was the report of 3-foot Yeti tracks found by the Indian Army in Nepal legit?
Okay, so 3 Yeti tracks. Well, the first answer is, and it's important I start by saying this, by saying we don't know because we didn't observe a Yeti making them. So let's start with that, yeah, because that's important, yeah. And we can parallel that to some Bigfoot reports as well. Unless you saw the creature doing it, you cannot definitively conclude unless an expert is able to tangibly analyze those prints and corroborate it. So in Sumatra, for example, I've got casts of the orang pendek, but they were analysed by Jeff Meldrum, but also by Dr. David Chivers from the University of Cambridge, and they both came to the conclusion on no primate. So you have something tangible to analyse, and then you can do that. With the Yeti tracks, I think they're really interesting. Whoever that person was, Skidder Operator, was really. I think they were really interesting, but they don't definitively prove it. But I love them. So let's think of the other thing to think about when you're talking about a Yeti is, number one, Yetis are not white. Number two, they're not going to live on top of the mountain because there's nothing for them to eat. And all creatures conserve calories. You use the path of least. Animals use our tracks in the jungle. I've seen tigers go around puddles because they don't want to get their feet wet. They're more likely to be at lower altitudes and use those mountain passes when they want to traverse them. So they're not there very often because there's nothing about. I think I remember when I was in Nepal, maybe about 11 or 12,000 feet, there was this creature called a piker, which was like a kind of rodent, which would be a tasty snack for something, but that would be about it. Yeah.
So when those tracks are found, assuming they are that from a creature like that, then it's just probably passing from one valley to another through a mountain pass.
Yeah, just climbing over the mountain pass. It won't live. I mean, it'll live in a Goldilocks zone, say around 8,000 to 9,000 feet, probably, Mark. But also, I mean, what people can't get their head around and they find it difficult to understand is that a lot of these mountainous areas, they're completely unpopulated. And people really struggle to understand that, but you can very much see the difference. So when I've been in Nepal a couple of times. The first time I was making a film for Monster Quest, a 2-part special on the Abominable Snowman. The second time I was with Josh Gates. And what was apparent the first time is when we went to an area, you could see the area where people stopped being, yeah? And once you got to the uninhabited areas, the whole place just blossomed. At night, we had a clouded leopard come into our camp because it was curious. It had not met people, yeah? And it was many miles away from where people were. So there's a lot of these areas which people are just not in, and they're inaccessible to people, unless with that extreme difficulty. And why would they go there? There are plenty of places like that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Well, it's hard work.
Oh my, yeah, I can imagine.
It's very hard work to get there, and also sometimes can be dangerous. But it is extremely rewarding to go places like that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh,
so, what do you think is the most? Well, you use the word rewarding. The most rewarding or most exciting place that you've been in your travels?
Sorry, I was just looking at one of this comment from there. Yes, I eat beans on toast. Yes, I do. I like them as well. I can see your chat today, so that distracted me slightly. Yeah, they're really good. They're really good. Big booty Latina. So what's most rewarding? Sorry, Mark, was that your question?
Yeah, what was most rewarding or most exciting, or whatever you think of that maybe stands out in your experience?
I suppose I'd have to answer the question in different ways. So most rewarding for me personally to get to was, what's that?
Must be a Sasquatch trying to get
Yeah.
in America.
That's my dog.
Is that your dog?
Yes.
Oh, bless. It's okay. You can bring the dog on. I don't mind. It was just like, I wondered what it was. It was like a grunting sound. Getting to the Congo was extraordinarily difficult. Getting to that place was so hard. The first time I had to fight my way out of the Congo, literally fight my way out. I stood back to back, with a knife in the middle of Kinshasa, and I got a rocket launcher pointed at my head. And it was just, and there's so many stories I could tell you, but it was just horrific. And then, because I was either stupid or determined, depending on how you feel, I went back the very next year when I'd saved up enough money and managed to get to Lake Tele. And just to do that, because it was so difficult and the odds were so stacked against me, that was personally the most rewarding, because it's what I wanted to do and had wanted to do for years. And it was like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And even crossing that jungle was perilous. It was described by Colonel John Blashford Snell as hell on earth. It was so rough. And I crossed it. So that was personally the most rewarding, because I saw some amazing things and amazing wildlife while I was there.
Well, you described yourself earlier as being determined, and so that shows your determination.
Oh yeah, I was very determined. I wanted it very badly. If I want something very badly, I'll get it.
Yes.
The other thing I think was, if you're talking about in terms of evidence, well, seeing the celluloid serpent in Norway was a remarkable thing, and also the scientific evidence I got of the orang pendek in Sumatra. So, I mean, I can only answer your question on like three different ways. It's more about the evidence and the things I found. So there we are.
So we did have another question that somebody asked what your thoughts are on the Kandahar giant.
Yeah, I keep seeing. So what's the Kandahar giant? Let me set the scene. So there's stories that there are giants in Pakistan and Afghanistan in that border area, and I did consider the possibility of going to that area. I am interested in them, skidder operator. Interested enough to be seriously interested myself in going to that area potentially. I would be interested in seeing what it's like. But when I was working for the British government, they gave it's very difficult to get to those places, not least because of the risk of kidnap. The equivalent of the guy in the supermarket will kidnap you if he can. Why? Because he can sell you on to somebody else who'll pay a lot more money for you. So it's really difficult. And because of that, there's a story, for example, that the American Special Forces, I think it was a SEAL team, particular type of special force, came across one in a cave or something and shot them.
Right.
But there's been no objective evidence. There's been no military reports to substantiate that. Right. It still remains a rumor. But there are stories of creatures, or in a lot of those remote mountain ranges all across there, all the way from the Afghan border all the way through that whole mountainous range. And I've been in Kazakhstan and Mongolia as well, so it's looking for things. So yeah, I think there could well be something to it. I'm interested enough. If I had the money, and I don't, because I need a lot of money, because I need a lot of backing to get through there, because I'd have to have a lot of guards. You just stop myself being kidnapped. I mean, that's the reality. And contact. Right. I just don't have the money to bribe people to not. I mean, it's not somewhere you can just go backpacking, or turn up with a couple of friends, because pretty soon you'll find yourself in a lot of trouble. And you have to have good tribal contacts. You'd have to. I mean, tribes around there's a lot. It's a Pashtun area, but you'd have to know people who know the local warlords, because it's a warlord-run area, and those places are practically lawless. They're the law,
Right.
In some places like that, the warlords rule. I mean, in part of the Congo, when I was on the border with Infondo, the guy in charge was the local warlord. He was the one who made the decisions ultimately, no matter what the central government said. And it's the same for Afghanistan. Those sort of places are pretty lawless, and they're ruled by a couple of powerful individuals. Yeah.
The story, as I've heard it, I'll just throw this in quickly, is that the initial encounter was with just a typical patrol that were patrolling that area, and it was a pretty I can't think of the word I want, but just a common patrol. And then they got they started into a cave, and one of them was killed by this giant. And or no, I take that back. The initial thing was the entire platoon of the just average GIs, or whatever you want to call them, average military guys. They all got killed. So they sent in the SEAL team you were talking about to find
That's right. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. And one of them got killed. And then finally they claimed that they were able to take it down using a 50 caliber rifle, which is the biggest thing that's carryable by, a team. There's bigger guns, but if they're out on a team, that would be the biggest thing they would have. So,
yeah. I mean, and again, as I say, it's a good story, but so far it's just a story, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've not seen any military reports to that, but there are.
They're not going to admit.
What I was going to say is there are a lot of stories, though, about that whole mountain range going back hundreds and hundreds of years.
Right.
One thing I would say about cryptids generally is people might often say, "Oh, a lot of these stories are modern and all that lot." Well, that's nonsense. No. These stories go back centuries, long before technology. Right. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you now how that links in and how that links into today. So, in China, for example, their stories of the Yeren go back. The Chinese wild man go back to 400 BC. So 400 BC, yeah, and you can see prints of it. Yeah, as a hairy man, you can see prints of it in their illustrations because they had books long before us. As you know, with paper. In Nepal, the ancient religions, long before any of the modern day religions, you'd see people talking about creatures, and they listed all the creatures in Nepal, and Yeti was one of them. Yeah, so you have all of these legends going back, and even today, I can cut from my own experience. So I was I made a film for National Geographic called The Last Living Neanderthal. I've been to Mongolia twice. Mongolia is the size of Western Europe. So one time I was on the border with Kazakhstan, and then I came all the way back to Ulaanbaatar, the capital. And the other time I was on the Gobi Desert area in the border with China, and doing a different thing, looking for a different creature called the Mongolian deathworm. But I've been to these different places, and I was talking to a Kazaki herder on the border one time. You don't do much unless you're doing it over a glass of vodka. So that was obligatory in Mongolia. So you have a glass of vodka and we talk. And he basically said, I was out looking after my goats because I heard a whistling sound. He said, and I looked around, and he said there, I saw what they called an almus there. And he said it was covered in hair. It had that conical head, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Yeah. And it was making that strange sound, and it moved really rapidly, like a running water or something. And he talked about that. Anyway, years and years later, I'm in Nepal with Josh Gates for his show. And I was talking to this farmer who had seen one in a place near Monjo. Monjo's about 10,000 feet up. Do you remember, Mark? We talked about the Goldilocks zone, and he said he was in his higher pastures, his summer pastures, and he heard this whistling sound. And at first, he thought it was his friend. That was his first instinct. And then he looked around and he saw this creature. And he said, it was about 6 foot tall, same size as the other guy, I should add. And he said it had a conical head, this reddish brown fur, made this whistling, reddish brown hair, fur, whatever you want to call it. And so there you have 2 accounts from 2 people who live in extraordinarily remote areres who won't heard of, this is my experience, couldn't possibly have heard of one another's account, talking about how it moved and talking about how it moved like liquid and everything else. And it's just remarkable that those sort of things occur. And people are too quick, I would say, to say that, we know all about the world and all about places. We really don't, let me tell you.
No.
We really don't.
No.
Even the area where Mark and I live, in between Mark and I, on different sides of the Smokies, most people only go like 20 minutes from their car. Lovely. There he is. There he is. Yeah. So most people only go 20 minutes from their car, while there's other people, they're hiking in the middle of nowhere. But those are very few people. If I go out into the woods, I can guarantee that I won't see almost a single soul until I'm within 30 minutes back from my car. I don't see anybody else all day long.
Yep.
Very occasionally, because I'm on the middle of nowhere. And that's even here. So, in the Congo, one time, let me tell you, there was one time in Mongolia when I was crossing Mongolia and I was in this little crappy Russian Jeep with a GPS. It was hardy, that thing, I'll give it. It got me in a lot of scrapes, But I was with a handheld GPS, which was basic then, believe me. Managed to navigate my way. There were no roads. Managed to navigate my way across Mongolia. And I stopped one night, and me and the translator and the guy who was driving us, we were just chilling out. And I worked out that the nearest person to us was probably going to be 50 miles away. If we were lucky, more like 70.
Yeah.
Shows you.
Now, what I found interesting, though, is that whistle that you did. It's and it's interesting that the same whistle was heard from 2 totally separate locations. But I have also heard that exact same whistle here in Pennsylvania, down in Alabama, out in Oklahoma. I've got recordings from all different locations all over the place of that same whistle signal.
Yeah, and I think there are some commonalities with these cryptids. Yeah. There are some differences. The other thing, as well as the whistle and the fun and the conical head, what I'm really interested in as well is the liquidity of movement. When I talk to witnesses who've seen them crossing, because if you're looking at a Yeti or an Elmer's, often with sightings of Bigfoot in North America, as you know, they're often very brief or they're in woods and that. But in Mongolia or in Nepal, they're often going across rocky. You can see them for longer. And so people will talk very often about how rapidly they move. And I do think that's interesting. They can move so much faster than us. It's remarkable, really.
It really is. I know I've seen one running, and I was, let me think, it was over maybe around maybe 175 yards that I watched one running. And so I was able to pretty much clock it, by, taking the distance, that I got from Google Earth versus the time that it took to run from point A to point B. And it's amazing. I knew that it ran really fast just by watching it, but then clocking it, figuring out the time that it took, it was absolutely amazing.
So where did you see that, Mary?
That was out in Oklahoma.
And what did it look like? Did it look like a Yeti or more like the classic Bigfoot type?
It was a classic Bigfoot. It was most likely a youngster, a teenager. This was around 12:30 at night, but it was in the middle of a casino parking lot. It was running across from the dumpster at the casino across a park, brightly lit parking lot into the woods on the other side. And I spoke with the casino employees afterwards, and they say, yeah, they see them there all the time. They refuse to go out to the dumpster in the middle of the night because the Bigfoot are out there at the dumpsters.
So where's this?
This is near, let me think, what county was that? That was in
the exact name of the casino. Just tell me roughly where it is.
Caddo County, on an Indian reservation in Caddo County, Oklahoma.
Very interesting. Might go there sometime.
Well, yeah, it's a popular place to go.
Sure thing that interests me.
Yeah. A lot of footprints have been found around the dumpsters and handprints on them. Yeah, it's a banquet.
See, I'll go anywhere where I can get a bit of evidence.
Oh, heck yeah.
If I can afford it, I'll go. That's the way I am.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Heck yeah. I was invited to go along, and I said, heck yeah, well, I'll drive out there.
No, I don't blame you.
No, but the commonality of the reports, the similarity of their features and their physiology, and how they move, it's amazing, just to see the similarities, and to just to hear all these reports. You got to take the data of all of these just to see and track, okay, how are they alike, in different locations, and how are they different?
Yeah.
And
I think that sort of cooperation is something that you should look for.
Yes.
The more data, I'll say two things about gathering data. First of all, gathering data is very important.
Yes.
And one of the reasons I wrote my books, I forced myself to. I write both non-fiction and fiction books. So I write, if it's got a picture of art, it's a fiction book. But if it's got my face on it, it's an account of my expeditions. So I wrote 3 expedition books. They're called Extreme Expeditions. And then I wrote my latest book. You can get them on Amazon if anyone's interested. But I wrote Ghosts and Beasts, my latest book. And that's got a picture of me. And the reason I wrote those was because my first degree was in history before I did a postgrad in law. And I started writing these books many years ago. My expeditions go back many years. And I thought some of the things I've done are so unique that if I don't write them down, they're gone. They're gone forever.
Yes.
So I forced myself to do it. And even when I was exhausted on top of a mountain in some place or other, I wouldn't write loads of prose, but I'd just write some bullet points so I could keep it going. Yeah. Right. And then when I came back, I could refresh my memory on it, So each day I'd write 6 or 7 bullet points, and that jogged my memory so I could write the thing. And I'm so glad I did that. That's the most important thing I've done. Yes. Is have that research so that future generations, because we're all mortal, and none of us last forever. Having those things, I hope, are useful to people in the future. Yeah, they don't make a lot of money, tiny amounts. It can measure it with the effort I put into them. There's nothing, but it's not about that. It's about preserving that for future generations. So I think gathering data is extremely important. And also it goes to our own needs philosophically, because I talked to you about nature. You're obviously very spiritual people, God-fearing people, and for me that's a good thing. But I think to feel really alive as well, another important ingredient is to have an innate curiosity. Yeah. If you're not curious about things, if you're not asking questions, then it's not very good for you. If the world is dull to you in some respect, then that isn't good for you. So it's very good, it's very good to keep your mind flowing and to do important things in that way. So I'm glad that you guys record data. And one of the ways you can record data is on podcasts like these days, and that's wonderful. That's one of the things that's made technology easier. I was talking because I've looked for the orang pendek. I did 8 expeditions to Sumatra to look for the orang pendek, and that's their bipedal primate. It's not like a Bigfoot. It's small. It's about 5'1", 5'2". But stories about it go back to Marco Polo's time. It's lasted a very long time, and it's an excellent creature to look for. But again, any data about those things are good for the future. So yeah.
Yes.
So did I had a spell there where my computer was kind of freezing up. Did you guys happen to touch on the question about the Barmanu, if I'm saying that right?
Well, the Barmanu is the Kandahar giant thing. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
What he's saying is Barmanu takes women and children, they said.
Okay.
Yeah, he's talking about that. And there's a lot of stories about whether something might be aggressive or not. So let's talk about predators generally, all right?
Yeah.
And then we can expand on that. What's the biggest problem for predators? Why do we not have predators, broadly speaking, hunting us now? Well, A, we'd kill them all, and B, we're vengeful. As an evolutionary trait, Mark and I would be running them down and killing them. Yeah. So predators learn to avoid us. It's a bad survival instinct to go after people, because the first thing we do is we track them down and kill them. We would,
Yeah.
And so, but these stories, these legends about these things doing that, they pretty much stopped doing it, except in ultra remote areas if they could. I was in Bella Coola, which is in Canada, and I was with the tribe around there who live around the waters around there, and they were telling me a story about how the mountain passes there, these things used to come in and take women and children every now and again. But there was a landslide and it blocked the passage. And in that time, they developed the technology to defeat them, I guess. So then by the time they'd worked out over how many years to get around that mountain pass area, this is their story. That was it. They developed superior technology, better spears or whatever, bow and arrows, things like that. We can throw a long way, and we have high endurance, so we can hunt things down over distance. Your dog. So Mary's dog needs to cool down. Mary can carry on walking for a very, very long time. And over distance, Mary could beat her dog. Her dog could run quickly over a short distance, but over a long distance, I guarantee you, Mary would win. So there we are.
Not anymore.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. That's kind of like the old tortoise and the hare story.
Well, we're persistent, aren't we? We're persistent. Yeah. We track prey down and we pursue it. And one of the biggest things we've got really is that we are tenacious. We're used to living in small. Biologically, most of our existence, whether you are in favor of evolution or in favor of creation, as a story as to how we have got to where we are right now. Neither party would deny that for the last few thousand years, nearly all the time that we've been around, we've been in small hunter-gatherer parties until the advent of agriculture, and we just wandered around eating things and hunting them down, and endurance, and gathered things as we went. And biologically, our bodies are primarily in tune to that sort of existence still, you know?
Yeah.
You're still really a hunter-gatherer, Mark, in your heart.
Well, yeah, I love to hunt and gather, but my body won't let me. I have to do my hunting and gathering in the grocery store now.
Well, that's it. But then, you know, they looked at what was important, and your role within a tribe would be because you would be a keeper of knowledge. We talked about data. So in tribal groups, the elders, if you like, and you'll forgive me because I think you're probably over 25 now.
Yeah, probably.
So I'm going to call you an elder. Yeah. So the elders would be the keepers of important knowledge. For example, they would be the people who remembered a terrible flood or drought 20 years ago, and the tribe managed to get out of it then. You know, they keep knowledge. They remember areas that they don't often travel to and things like that. So they had a very important role within a tribal group. We biologically, we don't really cope that well with more than a couple of hundred people. So that's why things like, I don't know, you have 5,000 friends on Facebook or whatever. How many of them are really your friend who you really interact with? You know, I mean, not many, because we can't cope with all of that. We haven't got the brain structure to do that. AI will, but that's a whole new terrifying thing. But we don't, you know, and we are, you know, one of the ways to think about us is have a different brain pattern to creatures like these predators. You know, the things that hunted us went extinct, or anything else. I mean, there are still some animals that will. Polar bears, for example. I was in the American Arctic one time, and I was very cautious because when I was right at the top, you know, because I went for a swim in the Arctic Sea because I could, and a polar bear had killed a seagull. This guy came out who went to the oil refinery there, and he said the polar bear's killed a seagull around here. And I was like, right, well, I need to be super careful because that creature will hunt you.
Yeah.
It is huge. It will hunt you. It's not afraid of us. It hasn't had that. They haven't had that protracted interaction with people. They are extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time in the woods here in Tennessee with black bear. There are more black bear here than there are anywhere else in the whole of the United States. I mean, I see them all the time, you know, and 999 times out of 1,000, they run away. Yeah. Twice they haven't, once here and once in California, and they were both deeply unpleasant incidents. But your average hiker who comes here, they're never going to have an aggressive interaction with a black bear.
Right.
But you know, I don't know if statistics have changed, but when I lived in Alaska, they always said that more people got killed in the entirety of the United States by black bears than by any other animal. Second only, the number 2 was moose.
Moose are very aggressive. Well, you know, from Alaska, they are very aggressive.
Yes.
They are very,
usually.
And they're
cow.
massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good way to go to be attacked by a bear. So that's the biggest hazard when I'm out in the woods here. Yeah.
Well, it's not fun the way moose kill people either. They stomp you to death with their front feet.
Horrible. So so tourists stay away from moose and bear, please.
Bear, Well, it's the tourists probably that ruined the bear there in the Smoky Mountains. You're feeding.
Oh, yeah.
They've introduced fines now for feeding them. Tourists sometimes will still feed them, but the ones I encounter, most of them, no. I mean, the one I encountered that was aggressive was a young male bear, and it was not pleasant, and I don't think it would have made any difference if it would. It backed down, but there we are. And one super aggressive bear. In fact, I have an Adam Davies Explorer on YouTube, but I have an Adam Davies public website as well as my private website, and there's a trail cam photo of the inside of this bear's mouth. It's like that.
Oh yes,
really not very pleasant bear. But
yes,
I don't want people to worry about. I don't want people to not enjoy the forests of Tennessee because of bears. Because you're not likely to have a bad time with bears.
Yeah, what I've always found interesting about bears and what they say to do whenever you encounter one, that now any bears that I've seen, they've pretty much been far away enough from me to not be a danger for me to do anything. But from what I've heard, the advice that they give is to make yourself look big, and that will sometimes scare them off. They're intimidated by, if you make yourself look big. But then I think, okay, if you are a vertical creature and you make yourself look big, what is big out there they are afraid of?
You don't make yourself look like a taco, Mary. I don't think that's what it means. No, I mean, making yourself look big, I'm sure that might work sometimes. But if a bear's going to be that aggressive, you go in like that. I don't think. Bear spray is obviously useful, but the thing about bear spray is, and I want to remind people of this, it doesn't work so well if it's windy. It blows back at you, and I've got experience of that. So I carry a gun personally, and that's not because I want to go around shooting bears. I have no desire to kill one, but if it's me or the bear, it's damn well going to be the bear, and I make no apology for that. So that's how I feel.
Absolutely.
No, I agree. I'm the same way. I usually have one handy when I'm out, but I've only ever had to get it out a couple of times, and that was it didn't turn out to be a time. I've never had to fire it. Let's put it that way. But
I've never fired at a bear. I've drawn it. I've drawn the weapon twice on 2 bears, but I've never fired at one.
Well, when I tell you what, you talk about animals that will attack you or hunt you. A brown bear don't hunt you, but the coastal browns where I was, they will.
Sorry to interrupt. That's Greg from Relic Films winding me up because, of course, Greg's been on your show, and he's my good friend from Relic Films. So he's just teasing me.
Yes.
But the brown bears in Alaska they'll be on you. Well, first of all, you've been there, so the brush there is so thick that you can't see them most of the time, and they'll be on you before you even know it. And that's why the bear guns that you see that they sell that are called like an Alaskan gun, they have a little stubby 2-inch barrel. And the idea is that the bear is already going to be on you before you even know it. And so you pull the gun and you basically stick it right up into the bear's belly and just start pulling the trigger. And that's, because that's.
I don't want to go into too much, but I have a 44, but I don't want to get too graphic, but you don't aim. The bears are so hardy. If possible, you don't even aim at its skull because they bounce off them. If you have
sure.
When I was in Alaska, I had one of those marine shotguns, which is like a sawn-off shotgun. And that was wonderful. If I was living in Alaska and I was dealing with bears, I would have the marine shotgun. It's not like a long gun, so it's not bulky. I could have it there. I love that gun. I would 100% have that. It was perfect.
Right. With dangerous game
the only
slugs.
gun I've really, really warmed to I really want this forever was that.
Yeah, they make those what they call dangerous game slugs. And that's what I carried. I had one of those as well, with a 16-inch barrel and 3-inch Magnum dangerous game slugs, and that's what the U.S. Forest Service issues to their workers that are out working on trails and such. Is that shotgun?
Good, they should do. I'm glad they do. I didn't know that, but I'm glad they do. It's perfect. See, when the first time, so I'll tell you this because you asked about Port Chatham, so it feels appropriate that
Right. Yeah.
I talk about it a bit. So Port Chatham is the place where there was, let me just set the scene. So in the 1950s, don't put him up anymore, Mary. Don't encourage him, because don't encourage him, Mary. So in the 1950s, they basically the whole town. It was talking that they were abandoning the whole town because a Bigfoot or groups of Bigfoot had tried to kill people, and it's a fascinating story, and I really enjoyed it. And I was in a bar in Vancouver Island, and I was talking to a guy, Stephen Major, and it was his. He was like, "Well, I was about to go and do something in British Columbia, yeah," and he was like, "Well, I'll talk about it in a minute, Tyler." But it was a place where he said, "I really want to go. Will you come with me? I'll pay you to come. Your job is to keep me alive." Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, deal." He said he'd pay me a good whack to keep him alive, but it was so dangerous. He said, so dangerous to go here. This is before Alaska Killer Bigfoot, the film, years before that. That film was made because it was Stephen's idea to go, and I went with him, and we went twice. And so his wife then phoned up, and she was crying. She was like, "Please protect my Stephen." I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to protect him. He's paying me a lot of money. I don't get it until I bring him back." I was joking with her, I wasn't like that sort of shitty about it, but I was joking. We went, like, when I wrote a novel, Revenge of the Hairy Man, about it because it was just like, I remember going in thinking, this is like a Stephen King novel, only it's real. This is really happening. So first of all, the Native Americans who own the area were like, "It's really evil there, man. Why are you going, blah, blah, blah." And then these little people were like, "This is the most evil place in the world," and all this stuff. And it was like, okay, great. So there's something there that's going around killing people, or has done in the past. And it's also an evil place. Great. And then when we got to the mainland, because you have to get a boat over. First of all, nobody would take us but this one guy. You
got a Homer? You got a Homer?
Yeah, a Homer. Yeah. There was this one guy, and it was $1,000 out and $1,000 in. Yeah, and he was the only. I forgot what he's called now. I've got it written down somewhere, but he was the only guy that would go. Yeah, the only guy. So we go, and on the way there, we stopped at a Native American village, on the boat, and they wouldn't really come out and talk to us. They wouldn't come out and talk to us. Yeah. So I'm getting to your point, Mark. So when we got to the place, it's quite difficult to navigate in, and I was trying to work out a place because I thought I need a place where I can see the whole promontory, like on a spit or something like that. I can see the whole thing and do that. So I thought I'm gonna go on this promontory and do that and see the whole thing. And that was because of bears, yeah. And when we made food, I made sure we ate vegetarian food. So we had vegetarian burgers. We had nothing with meat, yeah. And did that. So that was it. And that was all about seeing the bears, because I thought if they come barreling in, as you know, bears run faster than people. I thought I need to be able to do this and run in this way. So that was why I had the shotgun there. Yeah.
Yep. So what was your experience there at Port Chatham? Did you have anything that made you think there might be something there?
Well, your guy Tyler, I'm listening to Greg talking about jungle monkeys and roasted chicken. No, Greg, absolutely nothing in common. No. So there we are.
Yes.
Yes, in the sense that, if I analyze it carefully, I don't think that the story about Bigfoot killing people has substance to it. I think it might have been the fact that it's a difficult bay to get into, and I think they might have run out of fish. I think it might have been an economic reason why people moved. I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's what I think. But the place itself is very, very creepy. Very, very creepy. A veggie burger would have took you out. Yeah, Patty, if you're eating, if it's a veggie burger or dinner with the bears and you're the dinner, you'll eat the veggie burger, believe me. But it had an extraordinarily creepy vibe to it. Extraordinarily creepy. So was it Tyler or somebody? I can't see. There was more than one. Building still standing. There are quite a few buildings still standing. He's thinking of the main cabin, which is on the front, which you see in photographs. There are a few little buildings. They're kind of decrepit looking, and it's overgrown. But when we went, we were the first people who'd ever wandered around there and stayed there for decades. Yeah, other people have come in now. There may have been people who landed on or near the beach, but we actually wandered around the place. We actually wandered around the place. And there was one occasion. So to that main cabin that Tyler's talking about, the first time I went, it's in a sort of weird. A weird atmosphere, if you like. So the first time I went, it was always sunny. The second time, I don't know. It's one of those weather confluences. I don't know what the term is, right? But it just was horrendous weather. It rained a lot. The second time, and you do a master interview. We're making a show for Discovery then, and Stephen did his interview first, and then he handed me the shotgun, and there was something extremely strange out the window. I saw like a shimmering with the trees is the only way to describe it. And I put up my gun to shoot it, because that's one of the places where there's nobody else there. I can shoot first and ask questions later. Everywhere else, you have to be extremely careful. But not there. There were no people.
Yeah.
If I feel like I'm going to be in any perceived danger, boom, And so then it disappeared. Now, what I thought interesting, because Greg's there from Relic, when Greg and I made a film, I looked it up, and there are Alaskan legends about this sort of thing. And when Greg and I were making a film called The Vanished, which is about I picked a couple of disappearing cases. Dennis Martin in 1967. Mike Heron in 2008, and me and Greg were filming. Greg's the producer of Relic; he owns it, and I was developing the idea for the film and researching it. There's a lot of going up to Spencfield and researching areas, but then we brought Natalie Smearman, who to be my sort of female counterpart, and she was great. We had other camera crew there, like Jim Powell. He was helping Greg, and Jim, unbeknownst to us, where in the area near where Mike Heron disappeared, he caught, and you can see this in the film The Vanished if you ever want to. It's a really good film. I love it.
Yeah.
And there's this strange nebulous plasmodic entity in the sky, and it was like. I think Jim got it on camera by accident. But what's that? What is that? Yeah, and it correlated to the thing in Alaska, and I was like, what's that thing? And what's it about? Right. So we spent a lot of time talking about Bigfoot. We're all interested in Bigfoot. We do. We're all interested in Bigfoot. Bigfoot's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. But what's that? What's that? We're not talking about that. But when you talk to researchers, because we were. One of the things that Greg and I were mooting, we were talking about I was saying, like, when I often go out into the woods, I don't know whether this is your experience, Mark, because I'm genuinely interested in what you have to say about this. But we here on numerous occasions, I was hearing this metal clanging sound, like a door shutting, like a bang, a metal clanging sound.
Oh, my, yeah.
That quite a few times. And I've heard it with different people. Like, I've been up on ridges. I like climbing mountains. I like it. It's my thing.
Yeah.
I like being up in the middle of ass nowhere on a mountain, especially if I've had a hard time in life. Yeah. So I'm having a hard time in life, and you say, "Where's Adam?" His ass will be up the mountain. Yeah, that's where I'll be. It's just what I do. And I've heard this clanging. There's no metal. It could be 10 miles before the nearest car park on a good day.
Right.
What's happening there? But even nearby. And when we were filming The Vanished as well, there was this bang, 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 all these things clanging together. There was nothing. So, but then, when you start talking about it, loads of researchers have come up to me afterwards and said, yeah, we regularly hear this metal sound. We regularly hear that. So,
Yep.
I mean, what Greg and I, because we've talked about it both a lot, is we're very passionate about bringing these new ideas up, these things up. Yeah, new ideas that are, and this is very important before we talk about whatever that is. New ideas. We're very big on bringing these things forward and developing these ideas, because these are things that a lot of people are experiencing, but they haven't yet. We haven't yet explored properly.
Right. Oh yeah, I've heard the metal clang. Mary's heard it, I know.
And Patty.
But we're not talking about it. Everybody's talking a lot about Bigfoot.
Well,
and why.
I talk about it.
Good.
I talk about it.
Good.
And I've actually, one idea I came up with on my own, and it's probably not very likely, but most of the places where we've been, or at least where I've been that I heard it, were in national or state parks where they have these big iron gates across some of the roads. And I had a theory a long time ago that it was something that was hitting those gates. But a lot of times then I talk to people say, oh no, we were miles from any of those gates. But the other theory I hear from other people is that it's portals opening and closing, that's the sound that's made when a portal opens or closes. But that's strictly, that's just theory.
We don't know. We don't know, do we? We're speculating.
No, we don't.
But that speculating is fascinating, because those sort of questions lead to our understanding about how the world really works.
Right.
How things really are. So they're extraordinarily important. So, Mary, tell me about this picture. What's this?
Okay, you were talking about a shimmer, and this is a photo a friend sent to me from Alabama, where this he described it as like a plasmoid type figure floating through the sky, and he took a few pictures of it, and this one was whenever it passed through the tree.
Well, I mean, that's fascinating. I'd love to hear more of his account. If you get an opportunity to talk to him about it, please let me know, because you can clearly see something there.
Yeah.
Some people might say, oh, that might be a reflection of light, but no, it's denser than that.
Yeah, they saw it with their own eyes.
Yeah, and they saw it with their own eyes. So that's interesting, and that's an example.
Yeah.
That's an example. And one of the things that happened during that film was that Jim is a fit young man. He's in his 30s, and it was not an arduous trek to where we were. It was about a mile, just over a mile. A little bit undulating, but as soon as we got there, as that was happening, he said, "I have to lie down." He just lay down in the dirt, closed his eyes, and was asleep for a few minutes. It was weird. Okay. And then he was up again. But
interesting.
He was up as if nothing had happened. So these sort of things intrigue us. And so what we're trying to do, if I had to have a synopsis of our chat so far, I'd say what we're trying to do is put together as much information as we can about this data and look for consistency. And for Greg and I, with Relic, we're really interested in these things. And you know, I'm really interested in portals. I really am. It used to be so fringe that it was almost heresy to talk about them.
Yeah.
But you know, one of the best things recently, I'm not a scientist, but one of the best things I think that has helped is that we now know that there are many different universes and many different dimensions, you know, and so I would think, and this is speculation, it would be a lot easier to travel interdimensionally than it would be to travel across space. So why not travel interdimensionally? Why not have those sort of things? But there we are.
Yep. I had a thought a minute ago, and as I get older, they last a less amount of time. Yeah. Well, I guess I was just going to comment that, you know, I told you earlier I just got back from Alaska in February, and I had a very interesting encounter there, but I don't need to recount that. That's why I'd ask about, you know, what maybe you had.
Well, please recount if you want to.
Well, I'll just do the short version. I was up there for about 4 months, and like I said, most of my scouting, if you want to call that, was done from vehicle, and I was driving to my where I was staying. I had to drive about 20 miles between. I actually was working a part-time job while I was up there, but I was driving about, I guess one way it was maybe only about 10 or 12 miles. And anyway, I was on my way home, so to speak, early one day. It was still daylight, because at that time of year when I was there, it was getting dark by about 3:30 in the afternoon. And it was right around 3:30. It was just starting to get dark. And I came around a curve in the road and kind of just caught this figure standing in the tree line. And at first, you know, I did a double take, you know, I looked back, and sure enough, it was either me being insane or there was a Bigfoot standing there. And as I was looking at it, without taking my eyes off of it, I'm looking at it just like I'm looking at you on the camera. It just simply disappeared. There was no shimmer. There was nothing. It was like it was there one instant and it was gone. Well, I went on to where I was staying, and the guy that owned the place, I know he had mentioned to me before that he had worked on logging crews, and he had a couple of encounters with Bigfoot. So I felt like I could talk to him a little bit. So I went and I told him what I believed I had seen. I didn't tell him about the disappearing part right off. I told him he asked me where it was, and I told him, and he said, you know, it's a very common spot. A lot of people see them right there for whatever reason. And I said, well, there's one part of this that may make you think I'm totally out of my mind. And I said, the thing disappeared just like as I was looking at it. Yeah. And he said, that is another very commonly reported thing. He said, people tell all the time. Now there on Prince of Wales Island, I would say that of the natives there, the belief in Bigfoot is 100%. Of the non-natives, it's probably in excess of 80, if not excess of 90% of non-native people. You've either had an interaction or something that has caused them to believe. So on Prince of Wales Island, it's very, very common. Everybody believes in these. But I went back, that was on a Friday, and I went back the next day on Saturday, and I went to where it was standing, and it wasn't, you know, Prince of Wales Island is so rocky that you just can't get footprints. I mean, the rock is it's just so rocky, you know, you just don't get them. So there was no footprint sign, but I knew right where it was standing by a tree, and I had a tape measure, and I had to, you know, kind of run the tape measure up the tree and try to look up there to see what it said. But from all accounts, what I saw was about 14 feet tall. And
14 feet, that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge.
14 and probably 5 feet across the shoulders is my estimate. But, you know, I had people while I was there. So the Tlingit and Haida Indian tribes are there, and they believe that, and I didn't get into it with them a lot. They don't really like to talk about it much. And I was going to mention something about that when you were saying you went over to Port Chatham, but it's part of their creation story. So they believe that the Bigfoot, they have their own names for it. Different tribes have different names, but they believe that that is part of their creation story. And when you look at their totem poles, the Bigfoot will often be at I'm trying to remember. I think it's at the bottom, because I think you read the totem from the top down or the bottom up. So whatever.
Bottom.
So that was the origin. They believe that the Bigfoot had something to do with their origin. And a lot of them believe they came out of the water. And Kushtaka is one of their names. And that is actually Otterman, which is a type of Bigfoot that lives in the water. And it you know, gets its food from there. But they also have these Bigfoot that live up in the mountains, and you know, they have these trees that, if you've seen them, but they're put in the ground upside down. They're big trees. They're like 3 feet or more in diameter, and the root ball has been pulled out of the ground, and the stump is stuck in the ground upside down. And you know, the skeptics say, oh well, the logging crews did that. Well, I talked to guys on the logging crews, and they said, number one, when we're working, we don't have time to play games.
You have time, is what I was going to say.
Yeah. And number two, they said if we did it, there'd be machine marks on them where we grabbed it with our tools. There's no machine marks on these things.
No.
And
I mean, there may have been the odd prank by, I'm not saying in some places a logger might have done it. But
well, maybe. But there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and in Alaska as well. That wilderness, to add to point.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when I was in Alaska, you know, the last time I was there, I traveled from Fairbanks up to the Arctic. There's just hundreds of miles of nothing.
Yeah.
There's one road.
Well, you got a truck stop. You got a truck stop at the Yukon River, though.
Yeah, and I've been there. Yeah, I've been to the trucks of the Yukon River. And there was this other place, I can't remember now because I haven't got my notes, but where all the truckers stay, and you get this really hearty, stodgy food, which was good because you were freezing, you needed it. But there's nothing.
Right. Yeah,
there's
Dalton
nothing
Highway.
but that one road, huh?
It's called the Dalton Highway.
That's right. Yeah, and the ice road truckers go down it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's nothing. There's nothing for hundreds and hundreds of miles in any direction, people wise. Anything could be there, and we'd have no idea. And it goes to my point, you know, this is one of the things I wanted to introduce to people tonight. When I was in India, I was looking for something called the Mandi Barung in India, which is their Bigfoot. It's their equivalent of a Bigfoot. And it had been a dangerous area going into. And basically... you know, one of the problems was that we had to get a lot of paperwork because the Indians needed a lot of paperwork and needed a lot of that. And I had to go and see, because I was leading the expedition, I had to go and see this Indian Army official. And he said, and there was this is hundreds of miles of jungle. And he said, you know, he said, I said, what's in this jungle that we need to be aware of? And he said, you tell me. I haven't got a clue what's in about 80% of it. No idea. Off you go and come back, you know. There are many places like this. There are many places. You know, one of the biggest skeptical thing is, oh, no, they can't be. Because, I mean, that can so easily be dismissed, the notion that there aren't these places around. And, you know, even you and I could disappear effectively in the jungle around Tennessee. You know, as a survivalist, it's pretty easy to survive in these forests all year round. I mean, you wouldn't eat well. You know, I wouldn't be saying, "Oh, Mary, it's mushrooms again." You know, do you know what I mean? It wouldn't, but you could survive here pretty easily.
Yeah.
In this forest.
Well, some of those mushrooms, if you eat them, you get kind of wacky anyway.
Yeah, but that's a whole different episode, Mark. I don't think you should do that.
Well, I wanted to throw in one more quick thing, and I'll be quiet and let you finish or talk some more. But when you said that those natives in Alaska didn't want to talk to you when you were going to Port Chatham, and you may not have realized this, and nobody may have told you this, but they were offended that you were going there because their belief system is so strong about avoiding those sorts of places, just like it is on Prince of Wales Island. When I was there were places that I wanted to go, but I didn't know how to get there. And none of the locals, none of the natives would take me there because they believe that it's bad luck for them to have anything to do with somebody that's going to some of these places that they consider to have almost evil entities. So that is probably why you were having trouble getting any of the native groups to help you out or anybody to take you there. Because I had the same problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was with some of them. I think it's. I think though that we got special permission, so we did pay to go on their tribal land because you cannot go on that to Port Chatham without their permission. Yeah, it's illegal.
Yeah,
it's their land. It's trespass.
Well,
so Stephen did pay, but that said, the village where we went to had no control over that land. So for them, it was just bad news. The place where we went to, the tribe where we went there with their blessing. But they still think it's bad karma, but they went there with their blessing. And Stephen wasn't so well for a while after we got back the first time. So, there may be something to it, you know?
Yeah, that's another thing that gets reported a lot in some of those areas is that you run into illnesses like that are kind of unexplained.
Yeah, I know that we're short on time. I know you have to leave pretty soon, but I'm hoping that you'll be able to return at another time.
I like talking to you. You're quite chilled out. I like you, nice people, you know, so it's all right.
Well, thank you.
I only talk to people I want to these days. I don't have to talk to anyone I don't want to. So I'll talk to people I feel like it. Yeah. So what was your question, Mary?
Oh goodness. What did I? Heck!
Can I tell you what we're doing next? I can tell you what we're doing next while you're thinking about it. Relic, it's slightly different from what normally happens is, but for Relic, we're doing a film called Awakened, Measured Doubt, and we're very excited about it. Greg and I have been talking about the launch of it. So the lead characters in that are myself, Natalie, who you know, and Melissa Adair. And Melissa's a skeptic, or was, and
I know Melissa.
Yeah, she's very nice. And we get to travel to 3 different supposedly haunted houses and monitor Melissa's progress from skeptic or not, depending on what we encounter. And for Greg and I, it was a real roll of the roulette wheel because we're never going to fake anything. You know what I mean? Never. Either of us would rather be dead than do that. So we had no idea what was going to happen. I'm very planning, especially when it comes to making films and content. Very, very planning. But this was a little bit of a blank canvas because it would depend on what happened when we got there, and nothing could have happened. But I was delighted that some remarkable. I do not get probed by an alien. There was some remarkable footage that we captured on that. Yeah, some remarkable footage. So it's just worth it. So when that comes out, Awaken, Measured Doubt, I advise you to watch it because you'll enjoy it. It's really good. And one of the things I said to Greg is when we're working out the cast and everything, I said, I don't want one of those cliched things where some guys and a pretty girl turn up like that with their arms folded. and then they run around in black in the film, and then something happens and they all poo themselves and run away. So I don't want that. I said I want actual stuff, but I also want to introduce humor, because one thing you'll have learned is that humor is very important to us. Yeah, we all. You can have no ego if you hang around with us, because we'll tease you. You know, and that's just the way we are. And so that comes across really well in that film. That's a really good film. You know, really good film.
Yeah. I'm looking forward. I haven't watched it yet.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be great. Greg's finishing off at the moment. He's finishing that one off at the moment. But the Relic app has all the other films. Bigfoot, The Land Between the Legs is extraordinary. In my opinion, that's the best film ever that has ever been produced about Bigfoot ever. So if you have not seen that film, you must see it if you're into Bigfoot. It's not hyperbole. It's not that genuinely is. If you're into that subject, you must see that film. It's as simple as that. Okay.
Oh, I have to see that one. I've been to LGL 3 times, and I
got to see
love
it. It's extraordinary. There's an encounter with a Bigfoot on there, or several Bigfoots, which is just remarkable. It's just amazing. Yeah. I mean, we got lucky, and we went to an area. I mean, Martin Groves.
Yes.
It was his research. It wasn't us. But watch that film, people. It's just fabulous film.
Definitely will. I'll look it up.
Watch it, Mary. You won't be disappointed. When you watched it, message me, because you'll be glad you have done so. You have to get it. Go on the Relic app and get it. Seriously.
Okay. All right, and the Relic app, Relic TV. I noticed it is on Roku also.
Yeah.
So that's good. So just a reminder to everyone. I think it's also on Apple TV.
Yeah.
So everyone, make sure you get that on there. Download it. You put it up on your televisions, on your Roku or your Apple TV, and get in there. And I intend to get in there.
You'll be glad you did. It's a good for someone like you. It's important.
Thank you, Relic. Roku and Fire TV.
Good stuff. Well, have you got any last questions for me before I shoot? Feel free to ask me.
I have a question, but it'll be pretty involved, I think.
Well,
so if you wait,
I've got 5 minutes, at least 7 minutes. Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Come on, ask me.
All right.
Question, Mary. I want you to.
You mentioned about Jim Powell getting sick and other people also getting sick and illness and so on. Do you think that there's a correlation between what they call infrasound or getting zapped and that sickness, with all the different effects that infrasound will put on your body? And I have done a study on it.
Yes, I do 100%. So let me cut back, and then I'll come on to what's happened to me. So I've spent a lot of time in Sumatra. Sumatra has the highest concentration of tigers in the world. And my very good friend Sahar, who was the best tracker outside of the Pygmies I ever worked with, just so good. He's dead now. Fabulous guy. And he was there in the middle of Sumatra, and he just looked up one day as he came over a ridge, and he saw a tiger like that, going for water. And he said the tiger roared, and he just froze. Yeah, it just froze like that. He's got his parang, which is like a machete, in his hand, and he said the tiger just jumped over his head. Yeah, didn't kill him, didn't try and kill him. A tiger tried to stalk me once in Sumatra, but this one jumped over his head. Now, only in December last year, in winter last year, so I think one time in November, maybe one time in December, I was working Cades Cove. Now, I like going in Cades Cove in winter because all the tourists have gone and the trails are there. It's easy to see. Now, there's a particular road I walked up, which is shut in summer. The first time I walked up it, I went way past. I went for miles, because I go for miles. So I was climbing up this rich mountain, and I got to this particular point, and I suddenly felt like crap, and then I was temporarily couldn't see, temporarily just couldn't see.
All right.
And I thought, I feel terrible here, and then I just pushed myself through. I thought, what I mustn't do is stop. Yeah, what I mustn't do is stop, and I just pushed through that. Yeah. Went back to that same area, I can't remember, maybe 5 or 6 weeks later. And I heard whispering. And I was with somebody else. And I said, can you hear that whispering? And she's like, yeah. Because I thought, my hearing isn't, I mean, it's average for a man my age. It's not exceptional. It's just normal. But she's got very good hearing. She's part Cherokee. And she was like, as well. And she's like, it sounds like ancestors or something. And you could hear it. It was like females talking, but it was just not strong enough to be decipherable. But Mary, if you went into the woods, maybe you'd hear it. Yeah. And I said, let's just keep going. Instinctively, I thought, I don't feel good about that. Let's just keep going. So we go up the trail, and then there was one man. He was like he was mumbling. And I said to her, whatever you do, stay on this trail. Do not go into those woods. And she said, this is what our people talk about a lot. She said, I'm damned if I'm going to go in these woods. She said, I was going to tell you the same thing. I was going to tell you the same thing. Do not go in. So, yes, I do. I often carry a meter, to measure, EMF meter to measure spikes.
Right.
So on Saturday, I was out with an EMF meter measuring spikes in particular areas where you do feel noises. I don't get affected as bad by this as most people, but I got hit just because of local biology, I don't know. I'm not trying to say I'm no better than anybody. It's just some things hit you harder than other things. But I will say that I've been hit hard I was hit hard in Cades Cove, very hard. I mean, so hard it was like looking through perspex. And I'm convinced that was infrasound, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Now, I've heard a story about Cades Cove from a friend, the same friend who took that photo. He said that he had spoken with the ranger from Cades Cove, and she had mentioned that she was troubled and worried about the Bigfoot there because though the juveniles will run through the campground and they'll smack the trailers, as they're running, just as a juvenile gangbangers teenage hijinks game. And they'll turn around and come back through the campground and whacking the trailers on their way back through. And she was afraid that they would be causing trouble. But that's apparently it's known for that. I haven't camped there yet.
Well, I mean, the area where I research has a lot of history behind it.
Yeah.
Not least the particular ridge I go, where I know Les Stroud had his very disturbing mind speak experience.
Yes.
I go there. At least once a month, just to see what happens, Just to see.
Yeah.
So I'm busy
do you get around, and they've changed the name of it now, but Clingman Dome?
Yeah, Allura. Yeah, that was where I was 2 weeks ago. I was there 2 weeks ago.
Is it back open? Because I had heard they closed it after.
Yeah, it's open.
They found that. They found that dead guy up there this past summer, or earlier, maybe 2 months ago. That's why I think they had it closed down for a while.
Yeah, there's a few people who disappear, particularly around the Thorny Ridge Trail and up to Andrews Bald. And so I go around there a bit. I was doing some scouting for Relic as well to see whether I wanted to do with Greg some filming there. It's creepy as hell. If you look at my Facebook page, I posted a picture of a path on there with mist. Great visuals.
Like I mean, that's all within 10 or 12 miles of where I where I'm at.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
why I said, because I saw a sign as I was turning up towards Klingman's Dome. I saw a sign which said Cherokee 20 miles. And I thought, damn, I've never been to Cherokee. I've got to get there. But I go. Well, it's a nice break from the heat as well, Mark, because you know what it's like down here. I mean, I'm hiking with a pack, and it's like 80 odd degrees. It's unpleasant.
Well, and where I live here, I'm at about 3,500 feet.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah, like today, it was probably only in the upper 70s, but
that's
you
wonderful.
drive down in the valley or somewhere, and it'll be close to 90.
That's right. That's what it was here. But I went up there because it was like late. It was early 70s, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this feels wonderful."
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you got any last questions for me? Because forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to disappear in a minute because I've got to be up.
Well, the only one I see asking questions is Relic Films, and you said
it's Greg. Yeah. Well, it's been lovely to meet you both, and I've enjoyed my time with you. You're very chill people, so I appreciate you both. So thank you so much for making time for me tonight.
Well,
I do.
We'd certainly love to have you back on sometime. I know you've got a lot more stuff you could talk about. So.
Well, we've scratched the surface, but that's always good, isn't it? If we've scratched, if we've scratched the surface, then you've done your job. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, I know you mentioned some of it, but if you've got any other contact information you want to share, website, email address, anything like that, feel free. We're here to help promote you. So
I mean the main thing is, Relic Films we talked about, and you must see that film, and we have new films out. Land Between the Lakes is great, and The Awakened and The Vanished. See those films. All of them are good, but see those films. They're important. My new book is Ghosts and Beasts, but you can find all my books on Amazon, including the Extreme Expedition series, which are important for global expeditions, I think. Adam Davies Explorer on YouTube and on my website, and I have Facebook pages as well. And I will interact with you if I possibly can. I run around a lot, but I promise you, if I can message you, I will. Otherwise, I would never have spoken to you two. So my word is my bond.
I thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Well, you have a lovely rest of your evening, you guys. Lovely to meet you. And I'm no doubt I'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Good night.
Okay. All right. Oh my! Just a teaser for the next show.
Oh yeah.
Tons more.
Okay.
Relic. Now, Greg, I was told by Adam not to post your picture, your comments.
Well, Adam's gone now.
Yep. So I can put them up now.
Yeah. So next week we have our own Gary Spikes is going to be our guest. So.
Pups. Yep. Pups is going to be on next week. Can't wait. I can't wait.
He has, I guess, what we call habituation on his property there. And he interacts with the Bigfoot there a lot. So that'll be very interesting for him to tell us about all of his experiences.
Yeah.
And I haven't even looked to see let's see, after him is the 9th is Stan Gordon. So that'll be great. That's Chestnut Ridge in Pennsylvania he'll talk about, I'm sure, as well as probably a lot of other things. And then and Mike Lucci is coming up after that. I need to check back with him. I can't remember if we ever got a bio from him, but I need to check back with him and remind him anyway.
Yeah, I haven't received anything, but
okay.
But yeah.
I'll try to remember to do that here in the next day or two.
Okay.
And then we've got Carter Bouchard, the 23rd, is an author and a researcher. And then Christopher Noel finishes out September.
Yes.
I don't know if we need to go through all these, but I guess it won't take but a minute.
Yeah.
Cindy Bueno Goodbreak on the 7th of October. Daniel Hageman on the 14th of October. And Jessica Jones on the 21st of October. And then a couple weeks, I don't have anybody scheduled, but Melissa Adair, and that's the Melissa that Adam was talking about a few minutes ago.
Yes.
So she's part of their team as well. She'll be on with us on October 11th. So
Okay.
that's some of the stuff coming up. So if you hear anything there, everybody, again, I've said this before, put some kind of comment. Please hit the thumbs up. If you don't like what you heard, put a thumbs down or a poop emoji or whatever you want to put. But everything helps. Share the podcast with your friends on wherever you can share it. And what else? What am I missing? Subscribe.
Yes.
Do all that stuff. So
Yeah, just as a reminder to everyone, make sure you check out the description section of the video. I have a lot of information in there, including our guest Adam's, his websites, his email address, and his all of his social media links. So make sure you check that out, as well as all the information that I have in there for us and for the program, the podcast. And
Mary does a lot of work putting these together.
Yeah,
we
it's
appreciate it.
more than just the 2 hours that we put in here.
Yeah.
A lot more, but as well as all the hours put in over at the Facebook group. I used to spend 10 hours a day on that group building it, and put a heck of a lot of work in building the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project Facebook group, and it's paid off. We've got 20,000, might as well say 20,000 members, and as well as I think we've got a little over 2,000 members here now on the YouTube channel, which I'm very grateful to, to all of you. Absolutely, I'm thankful for everyone here, and for my moderators, Gary. Gary Spikes, Pops Spikes, he is just an amazing man. I can't wait to have him, on the podcast and speak with him. I used to have what they would nickname the habituation on my own property where I used to live, and it's not a fun situation. People say, "Boy, I'm jealous of you." All that interaction with them. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. It truly isn't. It's people romanticize, and think that it's some magical, mystical experience. It's not. It truly isn't. And we're away from that property. Where we're at now, there are Bigfoot around us, but they don't bother us. Thank God. I hear them, I see them, I see their structures and everything, but they don't bother us, and I am so thankful for that. Yeah, Suzanne, Sweden Sasquatch, she knows this also. It's not enjoyable, but yeah, it's people just don't realize.
I have them around here a lot, but they don't bother anything to speak of. I hear them thump the side of the cabin once in a while, but that's about the extent of it.
Yeah. Okay. Gary says depends on the relationship. His has saved his life, and I've heard of that from other people also, where they've done something, to save their life. I just, for me, around here, I respect them. That is the best thing that I can say, is that I respect them. I respect their territory, their strength, and their family situation. With their I don't know what you would call it. Right now, I'll just call it their family, their mates, and their children, and so on and so forth. But I'd rather treat them, at arm's length or further.
Maybe that one saved Gary's life so he could harass him more down the road.
Yeah, Greg says would love to have. Oh, maybe Greg means hang out with them.
Well, he should go down to Gary's and Gary can introduce him.
Gary, you can send them the photos to me. Just send them to my messenger, and I'll whenever we have your show, then we'll put them up. But yeah, just send them to my messenger, Facebook Messenger.
Now, what happened to our other moderator? We had another lady that was a moderator. It'd be nice if she could be on next week, so Gary wouldn't have to try to be a guest and moderate at the same time.
I know, and
what's her name? She lives in Asheville or somewhere not too far from me, but I can't think of her name.
Yeah, I can't think of her name either. I'm blanking out here. Yeah, I assigned it to a few different people.
Oh, okay.
Can't remember if I have you set up as a mod also. Let me check.
Well, I don't really know what to do when it comes to kicking people out unless they're just obnoxious. But
there's three dots. Just like Facebook, there's three dots next to their comment, their name.
Okay, I don't have that. I don't see it here.
Well, you would have to be a moderator.
Oh yeah, I do.
Do you?
Wait a minute. Let me click on it. Go to oh yeah. Yeah, I can remove people.
Yeah, you're a moderator. I see the hammer or the wrench next to your name. Yes.
I can remove them or I can put them in timeout. So.
Yep. Patty, I'm going to have to see if I can. Yeah, I'm going to have to make you a moderator also, Patty. Well, let me see if I can do that now while I'm thinking about it. Otherwise, forget it.
So I didn't bring it up while Adam was on because he had so much to talk about.
Yeah.
But I just read a story today. I didn't read it in all of it, but I just kind of hit the highlights. And apparently there's been a couple of U.S. soldiers that have talked about that Kandahar giant story, but they're forced to do it in anonymity because they can get in big trouble. But apparently here just within the last week or two, a member of the Afghan military that was also there has came out and told the same story. But it had his name associated with it. He didn't have to. So the U.S. soldiers were forced, supposedly, to sign non-disclosure agreements, and he didn't have to sign one. So he came out and told about it. And so that was just, I saw it. I mean, I know you can't believe it, but it was on Facebook, so you can take it for what it's worth, whether it is or isn't true. But I'll tell you, L.A. Marzulli actually did interviews anonymously. He couldn't show their faces, but he did interviews with several of the soldiers that were present there when that happened. And they all told the same story, and there was really no reason not to believe them. So if you want to look that up, and I'm still working on getting him on, but I don't. He has gotten so popular here over the last probably 6 months or a year that getting him on is probably not going to happen. But I have been in contact with him at least, but he said he's so busy that he just doesn't have any time.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know.
yeah, the rock apes. I know about the rock apes in Vietnam.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories out there. Same deal. Guys do talk about them, but they have to do it anonymously. They can't do it with their name associated because they were forced to, they could lose their retirement or whatever if they did that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Patty is a moderator now. So congratulations, Patty.
I was actually thinking about putting her in timeout. I don't know if I can do it anymore.
Yep.
Well, it's 9:15. I don't think I have anything else to yak about. So
Let me think. Also wanted to remind everyone about the Bigfoot live stream project. There has been quite a bit of activity at the Pennsylvania site, and also at the Texas site. I was reviewing some of the tapes just last night, and a lot of knocks. There's a lot of knocks there, and over in Pennsylvania at the Allegheny National Forest site, there's some whistles, a lot of whistles, and a lot of where they're banging, whacking the side of the house, and just different things. There's a figure also that you can just barely make out across the road in the field. There's a deer that walks across the field from left to right, and then behind it you can see something following it, but you can't quite make it out. The Bigfoot live stream project, guys, it's an app that you can put on your phone. It's good for both Apple, the iPhones, and it's good for Android also. Just look in your applications store, and you can put it on there, log in. It's $4.99 a month. But by people, so many people watching the videos, and this is 24/7, that these are cameras. The cameras, are in Pennsylvania, two separate sites in Pennsylvania, the Allegheny National Forest, and there's a site in Texas. There is a site in British Columbia, and Ontario, and that is Les Stroud's property, Survivor Man. He's got the cameras up on his property, and you can go watch these separate streams. There's multiple cameras at each site, and they run 24/7. And if you see something or hear something, there's a button that you push, report a vocal, report a sighting. It'll mark the time, it'll timestamp it, and you can type in there, what it is that you witnessed. If it was a sighting, if there was something, a figure that you saw, or if you see an orb, even, you can put that in there. And as well as any type of, a bang or something that you hear, whatever you hear or see, you can type in there. But everyone is important. Even if you're bedbound, you can be a researcher. You can help with this process. Everyone is important. You don't have to be what we call boots on the ground. Both Mark and myself, I used to be extremely active, and Mark was also. I can't be anymore. and same with Mark. And so what I do is I get onto the Bigfoot live stream app, and I'll watch, for a few hours. And if I see something, then I'll hit the report button, and there we go. But again, that's how we can contribute.
Right. Yeah. Well, I haven't started doing that. My problem is my phone screen is too small for me to really watch anything.
Yeah.
My vision's not that great. So I wish maybe there is, but I don't know if there is a way to put it on my computer, but I'd have to have it up on my computer to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, don't know if it's, I know that, well, they also have a YouTube channel where you can watch, the different evidence that they've found up till now. There was a video that Logan just put up a few days ago, just a compilation. Suzanne that asked, can you cast to your TV? Logan, the guy who has who made it, he assures me that you can, but I am technically challenged, technologically challenged. I normally, from YouTube, I can cast, to my TV, from my phone to the TV. But whenever it comes to this app, I dug on it. I just can't figure it out. So I don't know. Truly don't know. That's something that Logan needs to work on, I think.
Yeah.
I know it'd be great if you cast to your TV, big screen. We've got a big 60-inch screen. And
yeah. Well, my experience in the past on casting to the TV is it depends on what kind of TV you've got. And the one I have here that I have access to, I never use it, but it's not a smart TV, so it doesn't do that. But some will and some won't. So
right. Yeah, yours would have to be hardwired, I think, to your computer. If the app is available on your computer, I truly don't know.
Yeah, maybe you could ask and find out if you talk to somebody and then let us know next week or something. Because if there's something I can get it on my computer, I would start watching that when I can. I tend to stay pretty busy, even though I can't get out and walk a lot, but I still stay busy during the day. I work on things. I just keep a chair handy, so I sit down and work on stuff.
Right. So. Same here. Yeah, sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and have trouble falling back asleep, so I'll just put the app on and watch it for a while, fall asleep to that.
And I know that I can do an HDMI cable to the TV, but that's from my computer. So unless I get it on the computer, it doesn't help a lot. And on my computer, I can get up really close and look, see, just like that. I can get up there and look at the computer and see what it says or what's going on. The TV's 12 feet across the room from me.
Yeah.
So I really need it on my laptop. So
well, we'll find out. We will find out.
Check into it. Well, I'll take over the upcoming episodes and looking forward to next week with Gary.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I've got to get busy and start booking a few more people for up into
November. Yeah, we're in November.
Pretty full through into November, so I'll start getting some people lined up.
Yeah, the only person we have for November is Melissa Adair for November 11th.
Yep. Well, and I think we still got one opening in October, if I remember right. Let me look.
Possibly. Can't remember.
October 28th.
Okay.
Then we're into November.
Yeah.
And everything's open in November and December except for the 11th of November. And I was surprised she picked that day because that's Veterans Day, which is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
but that's what she said she was available for. So I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
great."
Yeah, November. Let me look. Yeah, because my husband and I were going to be traveling out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania for our anniversary.
No, I've never done this by myself, so don't be trying to leave me alone.
No, I won't be gone during the show. I think we're leaving the following day on Thursday.
Oh,
So
okay.
I try not to schedule anything for Wednesdays.
Okay.
So yeah, don't worry.
All righty. Well, I'm ready to say goodnight. I don't know about you.
Yeah, but I think I'm done. My voice is going. I think mainly because I'm tired.
Yeah. We're at an hour and 56 minutes anyway, so
Yes.
close enough.
Close enough.
So
All right. Well, guys,
thanks.
thank you so much, and thank you, Mark, for coming in. And
thank you for having me, as always. So,
yes, and
all
and
right.
thank you, everyone, whoever's left in here. I appreciate you coming in so much, and I want to remind everyone that if you have a prayer request, you can message me or Mark, and we'll keep you in our prayers.
Well, and with that, I'll throw in real quick here at the end, and everybody's gone pretty much. But I know Patty said she was interested, and I hope New York Todd will come this time. But I have a
Yes.
camp out, or whatever you want to call it, in Allegheny National Forest in October. And if I could find my calendar again, I'd tell you when that is.
I think it's the 7th, 8th, and 9th or something like that.
Well, I'll be there. I'll be there, I'm sure, by the 7th, maybe even the 6th. But the formal dates for it would be the Friday, Saturday, Sunday would be the 9th, 10th, and 11th. A lot of people do show up on Thursday. That's fine. I'm always there early to make sure that I can get our regular spot, because it's not something I can reserve. I have to get there, and if there's people there, I have to get in a fight with them and chase them off, and it turns into a big mess. But anyway, so. But I was just saying, anybody that's able to come to that is invited. So I would appreciate that you would email my email, which is cryptidsearch@myyahoo.com, and it is myyahoo.com. Let me know you're coming, and if you're bringing anybody with you, how many, so I can kind of plan. We do not provide meals. I've thought about that for future, but right now it's everybody brings their own. But we go, it's about I don't know, what was that, Mary? Probably a 12 or 15 mile drive to a restaurant for breakfast.
Yeah.
We usually go there for breakfast.
Yeah. It
And
wasn't
then people just cook around the campfire for lunch or dinner. We always have a big fire. I always buy a lot of firewood, keep a big fire going. So
yeah, it's a fun and very nice area. I really liked it there, enjoyed it, and wish I could come this year, but I truly don't think I'm going to be able to make it.
I'm thinking that maybe some miracle is going to happen and you're going to have the money to come.
I pray so. It'll come someday. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate you coming in. But God bless you. Well, let's close this out and let everyone go to whatever podcast they're going to be heading to next. And thank you. I do appreciate all of you. So
good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night. God bless. And Monkey Wench out.